like to thank you guys, ladies and gentlemen, for having time to come for this meeting. I know you guys are very busy. You have very other pressing issues that you could have attended to, but you chose to be here. So we don't take that for granted, and we really appreciate. So my presentation will be very brief because it's kind of a summary. Most details will come later on from the different people. So what we did that, the first time after we got into office, we sat down and asked ourselves, as NEC, what should we do? And we came up with a work plan for 2019. And we realized that for AKEFEMA to really proceed well, we needed to involve committees. Because NEC alone could not really be able to run the affairs of the AKEFEMA. So we decided to put more people on board so they could help us to move together. And actually, I remember we were using a tagline that we were saying, let your voice be heard. As members, we want your voice to be heard. Tell us, what do you want for us as NEC to do in AKEFEMA? So we wanted it to be very participatory. And that's why we came up with the committees. Of course, the committees had been put in place during the AGM, and also per our constitution, we have the structure of the committees. But for a long time, they have not been active. So we decided to have the committees. And the first committee was a technical committee, because AKEFEMA basically is a technical kind of business. Technical committee is a very important committee. So as NEC, we proposed Susan to take over so that she could lead us in that process. Then the other committee that we realized was also very, very, very key was publicity, media, and liaison. We realized for a long time that there was a perception out there that AKEFEMA was kind of elitist. It was just an organization based in Nairobi, and it was not doing much for members. So even other members were asking, where should we join AKEFEMA? Yeah? So we decided, what we do, let's go and revamp this committee, and let's try to have a bigger picture out there. Let people know what we do. Let's publicize our activities more and more. That's why we said this committee will take that role. And for sure enough, 2019, as the chairman will tell us, we did a lot, and we were very visible all over the country. I think today, if you talk about AKEFEMA, people know who AKEFEMA is and what they stand for. Then the Finance and Admin Committee, and Daniel Mashiori, who is an accountant, was chosen to head that committee. And he'll also briefly tell us what they've been doing. Then, another very important committee, audit. We realized we never had an audit committee, because audit was actually part of finance and audit. So we advised that it's good to separate finance and audit. You cannot have a finance committee, and at the same time is auditing itself, rather. So we decided to separate those two into finance and audit. And it was agreed that Mr. Kenjui Benson will head that committee, since he's an auditor by profession. And also briefly tell us what they've been doing. So again, as NEC, what we decided to do is that since now we had established the committees and we had their conveners, the most important thing for us to do was to develop TORs for each committee, the terms of reference, so that they would really know what they need to do. Again, the second thing that we also realized that for us to be successful as NEC was to intensify our membership. So we realized that there were some regions that were not represented. So we decided we'll hit the ground running. And the first place we actually went to visit was the Lake region. I think I remember we were in Sword, Martin, John. So we went to Kisumu, had a very successful meeting. We had the millers in that region. They came over for the meeting. We had a very good discussion. And they ended up electing Mr. Ogola. And he's been coming for NEC meetings, by the way, all the way from Kisumu. And we'll continue supporting them so that they become more and more active. Then North Rift. We went to North Rift from Kisumu, that is in Eldoret. We also had a meeting there. We talked to the members that were invited. Unfortunately, they were not very receptive. And we realized that most of the people who had come for the meeting were actually not feed manufacturers, rather than most of them were raw material suppliers. But we decided with the Secretariat that they'll follow up and get to meet the real manufacturers or feed manufacturers and other stakeholders. Nakuru, from North Rift, we came back to Nairobi. Then we went to Nakuru for a meeting. The Nakuru meeting was very successful. We had very many millers who attended. And Ambale was elected as a rep for that region. There are very many millers in Nakuru. So it's one of the key regions that we have as AKEFEMA. Then we've got Nairobi, where Marjan was elected as a rep. We decided to separate Nairobi and Lower Eastern Coast region, because we realized also there are so many millers in that direction. So John Gadogo is wearing actually 2 caps. He's a publicity chair and also the rep for Lower Eastern and Coast. Then we have Thika. Thika also, just like Nakuru, is a very, very vibrant region. There are very many millers. And Washuri is the one that represents us in that region. Then we have Mountain region. We went to Embu and convened a meeting there. We had people from Meru, from Embu, from Nyeri, and they elected Dr. Kakuo as a rep for that region. So you can see now, AKEFEMA is actually in line with the government policy of devolution. We are devolved. We are in the various regions now, so that whenever there are issues in the particular area, the rep of that area is able to consolidate those issues and bring them over to us as NEC. Then we're able to sort them out, as opposed to before when everything was being done from Nairobi. Actually, moving forward, we've been thinking that some of our member meetings, we'll be holding them in the regions, so that we have everybody coming on board. And even the AGM, who knows, maybe next year we might go to one of the regions. So we want to remove this notion of Nairobi, that AKEFEMA is only based in Nairobi. No, we want to go Mashinani, where the people are. So the other thing that we decided to be as a priority area was lobbying and advocacy. Because essentially AKEFEMA is kind of a lobby. We are here to fight for the rights of the members. Whatever issues arise, whenever you have issues, bring them over so that we're able to push through with the necessary, with the relevant people. So we've had several meetings, quite several, with the Ministry of Livestock, Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, and Fisheries. We've had meetings with the SFR, that is the Strategic Food Reserves, NSPB. We have successfully pushed for recognition of AKEFEMA as a major stakeholder in the maize sector, especially. So today when you talk about maize, when the government talks about maize, they know that AKEFEMA must be there. Before, government used to talk about maize, and the only people they would think about were the maize millers. Today, when the government talks about maize, anything to do with maize, they know that they must do a letter to AKEFEMA. So we've held several meetings at Kilimo House. One side, AKEFEMA, the other side, the maize millers. So we're always together nowadays in those meetings. So whatever issues are discussed about maize, we put our case there, and they listened. We have had meetings with the CS, with the PSS, and all those people that are involved in the maize. And because of those efforts, we all appreciate that we got some maize allocations. Remember the first time when there was a major crisis on maize? The price was about almost 4,000 shillings. And we really pushed and we got some allocation. And we were given that maize at 1,600 shillings. And that was a relief. Because you can imagine from 4,000 to 1,600. We have also had meetings on tariffs, on livestock products. I remember, especially this meeting at Kilimo, we held this meeting with the PS livestock and PS trade. It was that time when there was a lot of issues about eggs coming from Uganda and also milk coming from Uganda. And we were surprised as AKEFEMA in the sense that the government didn't seem to know that this milk coming from Uganda was coming to Kenya, and that milk was not being taxed, anything, even VAT. And immediately after that, and following the concerns that we had raised, we decided to have a team going to Uganda to do verification, to see whether this milk surely was coming from Uganda or was coming from other sources, and then just passing through Uganda. And they established that it's true. Uganda had no capacity to produce all that milk because the PS told us they were also alarmed by the quantities. So our efforts kind of started to bear fruit. Publicity and media events. We held 2 major press conferences that were well attended by all the mainstream media stations, both print and electronic. The first one was about the maize, where we talked very strongly about why we must get an allocation. And sure enough, the following day, the PS, Kinyua, and Matiang'i and all that, they called all the people who are blocking that allocation, and they were told to release that maize immediately. And within a week, we had our maize. The second press conference we held was at Pan-Afric about the imports of eggs, milk, and meat. There was a threat, and I think the threat is still there, of some characters bringing poultry meat, broilers that is, from US and other places. So we talked very strongly about why they should not import meat. We have enough capacity to produce the meat here in Kenya. The milk issue also came very strongly, and the eggs issue also came very strongly. And out of that press conference, the following day, we could receive a lot of calls from the PS and other people. So they could see now we are active and we are on top of things. Now, going to the other issue, industry data. This issue, we have discussed it for quite some time, on why we need to have data. Because it's only with data that you can go to any office and convince policymakers to do what you want them to do for you. So we decided that we're going to have a tool in our website whereby you would put in your data in terms of how much raw material you have used in a month and how much feed you're also producing. So that when you go to the CS or PS and tell them that we want to import, for example, yellow maize, he'll tell you, fine, how much yellow maize do you people use? How much maize do you use in a year? And with that kind of data, you're able to convince them, and they're able to listen to us. The other thing that we embarked on was on building partnerships and collaborations. Because we realized as AKEFEMA alone, we can't succeed alone. We need to have partners coming together with us to help us to actualize our vision and mission. So, and we were lucky. The first organization that we got in touch with was the US Grain Council. And I would say part of it, I don't know whether it says luck or what, because they also had just come to Kenya and they had a program in Kenya. Otherwise, if they didn't have a program in Kenya, there was no way they're going to listen to us. They have been in Tanzania for the last, I think, 3 years. So 2019, they were just coming to Kenya to support the feed industry, the livestock industry. So we approached them just at the right time. And from then, I can tell you that we have really worked very well with them. And it culminated in us signing an MOU between AKEFEMA and the US Grain Council. And basically, the MOU is covering four key areas. First one is support for strategic plan development and technical and management support, capacity building, and convening of industry meetings. So we have already embarked on that process of developing the strategic plan. So the first thing was to look for to engage a consultant who would help us in that process. We went through all those applications, and we were able to shortlist and identify one consultant whom we think met all our criteria. So soon we'll embark on appointing him, or the company, appoint the company, and then we'll start the journey. And anything that we feel we need, we came up with the budget and how they're going to support us as per the budget. Capacity building, they also supported us very, very well. As NEC, they also took us to Tanzania. As I said, they've been in Tanzania for the last 3 years, and they've done a lot of support there. So they're able to link us with the equivalent organization in Tanzania called TAFMA. So we went and met TAFMA officials, and actually they had a World Egg Day that time. They also had their poultry show. So we attended both events, the World Egg Day and the poultry show. And we learned a lot, and we shared a lot of information between ourselves. And that cooperation is still ongoing. This year, moving forward, also capacity building will be a key thing, will be a key plank. We are going to do a lot of capacity building for you members through the support. We also had that interaction with the East African Grain Council. There was even a one day training, whereby they invited us, and most of you attended. So they're also strong on capacity building, and we'll continue with those interactions. There was a BAF, as was mentioned during the AGM minutes. That's the Business Advocacy Fund. They are supporting us for the feedstuffs bill. There's a bill that we were pushing as AKEFEMA to go through Parliament, but it has taken too long. So they had to recall the funds. So we had the funds in our account, and we had to return. Unfortunately, we had to return the funds. But they told us next time we have a project in that line, they'll be willing to support. So hopefully we'll also have our own World Egg Day this year, held as supported by AKEFEMA. And also, we're also hoping that we'll have our first Kenya poultry show this year. You can see our friends here. They are already on their 5th poultry show. So this year they'll have their 6th. And us as AKEFEMA, we want to have our first annual poultry show. The regulatory and legal framework. This is just a reminder. Most of you, I'm sure you are aware that our industry is regulated by mainly the Fertilizer and Animal Feedstuffs Act, CAP 345. So we've also been trying to see how we can lobby and to be allowed to use GMO maize and soya. And as for our last meeting with the PS, they told us, even at government level, this is something they're thinking very hard about. And soon, maybe soon, they may be able to lift that ban of GMO. If you can be allowed to import this GMO maize and soya, then our cost of production will be very low. We'll be able to compete very favorably with Uganda and Tanzania. I actually think our costs would be even lower than those countries. So that's something to watch. So, AKEFEMA, we realize that it's our responsibility to maintain high standards in the feed industry. That's our core responsibility, and you cannot run away from that. And we think that the best way of doing it is through self-regulation. And that's why we developed a code of conduct, which comprises 9 areas of conformancy by members. And it's to be implemented by all members. It's not only be construed that the code of conduct is only applicable to the feed millers. Even our ingredient suppliers, feed additive suppliers, will have to be subjected to the code of conduct. Because you supply us with those feed ingredients, we want to be sure that whatever you're supplying us meets the standards. And moving forward, we are saying that compliance with the code to be a prerequisite for AKEFEMA membership. For you to be a member, you have to comply with the code of conduct. So AKEFEMA membership to other organizations, we realize also that for us, for our voice to be heard far and wide, we needed to join other organizations that are pushing some of the agenda that we would want to be pushed. So the first one we joined was KEPSA. This is the Kenya Private Sector Association. They have a department or a section for agriculture. And that's where our issues will always be addressed. The other one is the East Africa Grain Council. As NEC, we are thinking that we should also join Kenya National Chamber of Commerce. This one came about because the time we had a meeting with the PS Agriculture, Livestock and PS Trade, they told us most times they address issues as they are brought by these organizations, KEPSA and Chamber of Commerce. They told us, I mean, that's the easiest way of influencing policy in government. If you go through them, the government listens very easily, very fast, and does things. But if you go there just as AKEFEMA, at times they may not listen to us very much. Capacity building, I think I had mentioned, there was Africa Milling School. We had a training there. And again, this year, we have planned for a training, which we shall inform you in due time. So we need to start now investing in modern machines so that we become more efficient. We need to be more efficient so that we reduce our cost of production, so that we're able to also produce quality feeds, safe feeds, and affordable feeds. So this is a clarion call to our members, me included, that we need to up our games and start going the modern way. We also had a session at Boma whereby we learned about use of sorghum as an alternative to maize. We should not just focus on maize as an energy source. There is also an alternative. We have feed grade sorghum, which has been done research, and they've removed all those tannins. And it's very, in fact, they told us that this sorghum is as good as maize, and it's been used in Brazil, Mexico, and other places, and competes favorably with the maize. So it's available in the US, and I know some of our members are already talking to them to see how they can start importing sorghum. Strategic plan 2020-2024, 5 years. As I said again earlier, it's supported by US Green Council. So what's the way forward? The first thing is about the strategic plan, because this is what will guide us in the next 5 years. And it will be very, very, very participatory. Every one of you will be involved in development of the strategic plan, so that the document that we'll come up with finally will be our document, which will guide us in the next 5 years. Importation of yellow maize. We have been working on this issue for the last 1 year, in fact. We've met everybody that needed to be met. We've had meetings and meetings and meetings. And one thing that is important for you to know is that we also didn't know, but we knew in those meetings, that this thing called East African Community, these protocols that they've signed, they are very nice, and also on their side they're also very, very bad, because they tie you together. Today, Kenya cannot just wake up and say, we're going to allow importation of yellow maize. There's what they call the Council of Ministers of all the East African countries. They have to sit down and agree that yes, because there's a problem in Kenya, there's a shortage of maize, we're now agreeing, Kenya, go ahead and bring the yellow maize. They can't make that decision on their own. Same thing for Tanzania, they can't make a decision on their own, especially when it comes to importation of things that can have an effect, that can move around the other countries. On our side, the officials, the government officials, the government departments have agreed, they have no issue, that they're going to allow us to import 4 million bags of yellow maize. Then we'll continue with the lobbying for favorable policies. We'll knock all the doors that we need to knock. Removal of import duties on all raw materials. That's an agenda that we want to push. We know there's 10% charged on oil cakes. If you buy cotton cake today, sunflower cake, soya, there's 10% duty. But as a way of making our cost of production down, bring it down, we want to push for the removal of all duties on all raw materials. Again, the roundtables, we want to continue having the roundtables, the KEBS, Council of Governors, Minister of Livestock, Agriculture, Livestock, and Fisheries. So we want to have a session with the Council of Governors and see how we can push our agenda. And that will happen especially through KEPSA and Chamber of Commerce. The Council of Governors listen to them very much. So we'll push our agenda through those organizations. So collaboration with the farmer organizations, very, very key. We realize that for us as AKEFEMA, for our voice to be heard, or even more louder, we need to work and talk together as AKEFEMA and farmers. We'll also continue with the media engagements, again to enhance our visibility. Capacity building will continue, because we know, as we said earlier, we need to keep on improving our skills. We continue doing so many trainings. So basically those are what we are trying to do, what we have done, and what we want to do moving forward. And there are many more that I have not highlighted, but as NEC, we'll keep on informing you on what we're doing, and calling you for meetings, and seeking your views, so that we can move and build a stronger industry. And I think with those very few remarks, I beg to sit down. In case of questions, we shall address, I think, later on. Yes.
I will take you through the report from the technical committee. Like the chairman mentioned, we had a bit of a hitch. So our work kind of started very late, probably after the other committee members already had started. We have a few things to report to you. And as per our TORs, we divided ourselves into 3 subcommittees. We have the Training and Capacity Building Committee. We have the National Regulatory Affairs as well as Internal Regulations Committee, subcommittee rather. And then we have one that is taking care of the building technical references and the collection of industry data. So the Training and Capacity Building Subcommittee have already come up with a list of needs, training needs that they feel would be well if we could arrange trainings to the members. And I have them here, but I will not yet present them to you, because on the same I need to come back to you as members of AKEFEMA so that we can put this together and see exactly what are the areas that we are going to be able to train you on in 2020. Remember, as members of AKEFEMA, you also need to benefit from your membership of AKEFEMA. So this is work in progress. The other subcommittee is the National Regulatory Affairs as well as the Internal Regulations Subcommittee. What this committee managed to do last year, remember that KEBS has a feed standard committee. Part of last year they had the animal feed committee of KEBS had some meetings. Well, this KEBS committee is a membership by company, not AKEFEMA. AKEFEMA did not apply to be represented, but I think now they are working on it so that we can have AKEFEMA representation also. So last year what we did, because we have individual members who are in that committee, we appealed to them to represent us as AKEFEMA and represent your needs there. What they had was they were discussing about the oilseed cake specifications, the bone meal specification, ostrich feed, as well as the maize bran specifications. On the 12th of November last year, we had Douglas Malala and Marjan. I think also the chairman attended the meeting. I would like to request one of you to just brief the members on what was discussed in the KEBS Animal Feeds Committee.
Yes, the meeting on the 12th was to come up with a country position on standard that were going to be harmonized in Kampala. So we went through and we came up with our position, and we were able to convince one of us, Kevin, through the management of Mombasa Maize Millers, to represent us. So what Kevin was able to report from the meeting was that maize bran, the aflatoxin levels was revised to 20 parts per billion for total aflatoxin, and aflatoxin B1, 10 parts per billion. And then for, just in brief, because we will share the draft. For maize gluten, the specification for meal was, gluten meal was given at 55% crude protein, and for feed, gluten feed as 20% crude protein minimum. And then for the oil cakes, sunflower, cotton, etc., the aflatoxin specification was revised to 50 parts per billion for total aflatoxin. And then for B1, 20 parts per billion. From that meeting, there was a concern about the specification for dairy feeds that have been gazetted. The total aflatoxin for the dairy meals was given as 300 parts per billion. And it is felt that this is too high. And there's a suggestion for revision to 50 parts per billion total aflatoxin. So the draft standards will be circulated to members, and then you can also give, because we are on the public review stage now, I think until end of February. So we'll make sure we circulate this so that you can also give your input before it is gazetted. Thank you.
So thank you very much. He has also reported on the follow-up meeting that was done in Kampala. NEC managed to convince Kevin Mwambi to represent AKEFEMA and also KEBS as an advisor in the Kampala meeting. So he also gave a report, which part of what Mohammed has presented to you. Going forward, the issues that we are going to be focusing on in 2020, of course, we have to follow up on the training based on the assessment and the needs that we shall all agree on areas that we need training, and of course with the NEC so that we can be able to identify the trainers. The other thing, as the chairman has mentioned, is about the AKEFEMA Code of Conduct. And I think this is an area that the technical team is going to be working very closely with the consultant, coming up with terms of reference for this consultant as far as the standards are concerned. And of course the implementation, because we don't want to have something that is being discussed year in, year out, and looking to make that all the members who belong to AKEFEMA conform to this code of conduct. We are also going to be very much involved as far as any regulation is concerned. So the other issue will be the development of the database. Like I have mentioned, we shall be coming to you members for references of various raw materials and other information. So we hope to work together closely to achieve all this. So I do not have so much to report unless one of my members feel that there is something I have left out that you need to point out.
We thought of some of the training needs that we need. It is nothing unorthodox about it. Training needs is just all what the chairman was saying. It's all about capacity building. And the core issues will be just about efficiency, quality, costs, and safety of what we do. So if we go, when I go around my region particularly, I still see that the kind of technology we are using, some of us are still archaic, some of us are moved forward. So all in all, what is required is what I feel the members need in my region and probably other regions is specific knowledge of the nutritional sources as far as nutrients are concerned, because as you move forward, you find there's some things which are coming into the market, things like profish and all that, to substitute things like omena, which are very, very difficult to maintain the quality. And then we still need training a bit on knowledge how to do sampling. I see they just grab anything and then they just take it to the lab and they don't know. Actually, they don't know what they're doing. Formulations is still a problem, but this is a bit controversial because nobody is going to teach anybody about formulations. But it is good if the members are aware that how to do a proper formulations through software and all that. And then the vexed issues of sources of minerals and vitamin supplement. This is worrying because we have so much in the market. It is difficult to know who's selling a better thing than the other one. You don't know. We cannot vouch for quality. So I think members need guidelines on this because the suppliers are just too many. And we don't know. And we know the issues of adulteration and all that. And then the next thing is the milling process. And the emphasis here, probably, they will need guidance on these hazard and critical control points. That one, they don't seem to understand that very, very much. Of importance, they do not know the impact of this as far as regulation is concerned, that you cannot be given certification if you don't have this in place. They don't seem to understand that bit. Machinery and equipment is all a question of technology, okay? So the challenge here is that they do not know all these equipment have got their own specific way of, particularly mixing time, okay? They do not know. If you have this kind of mixer, the mixing time is totally different. If you have a vertical mixer, if you have a horizontal mixer and all that. So I think from amongst us, maybe some people know about these things. They should be taken through this so that they understand the different things. Again, the feed texture, a lot of members, they just know the feed texture is supposed to be like this, but the challenge is how to achieve that particular texture. All they know is, most of them actually, they only know about sieves. They only know the bigger the sieve, then the coarser the texture. But for those of us who went through the African milling school, we know there are other methods. Okay, you can remove one of the pieces of the beaters. You can slow down the revolution and all that. So how to achieve particular texture is still a challenge. They know the texture they want to achieve, but they do not know how to get there. So I think they still need training on knowing which way can I get this particular texture. If I want this kind of texture, what do I need to employ so that I can get there? And then we still have a long way to go as far as nutritional disease and defects. All of us who are feed millers here know very well, anything going wrong in the farm, the blame is always on the feed. So we want our members to be trained to know the difference, that this is actually can be a cause of these deficiencies, contaminations, and all that. We want our members at least to have practical knowledge. You know, if I do this and do this, and the farmer complains of this, I will know that could have originated from this end, but not just that blanket condemnation, this is like this and this and this. Okay? The last was about customer handling and policy. Again, customer handling still mirror very much about complaints and all that, and how the complaints can be handled. I think I'll end up there.
So thank you very much, and that is all I have.
Afternoon, members. Incidentally, this is the same room that AKEFEMA was formed back the year 2003. The same room, this hotel. Yeah, I'll just make a quick highlight about the activities of our committee. Membership recruitment drive is we did in conjunction with the NEC and also the Secretariat. We did one in Kisumu, that is the Western and Nyanza chapter, another in Eldoret, North Rift chapter, South Rift, Nakuru, Vicar chapter, North Kenya chapter, and Nairobi and Lower Coast, and Eastern and Coast region. symposiums and related activities. These are things that we intend to do. Our chairman has highlighted or maybe pointed on the possibility of AKEFEMA taking up, or in collaboration also with other stakeholders, to observe this year's World Egg Day that will be observed on 9th of October 2020. It has been observed elsewhere. It's a worldwide thing, but we want AKEFEMA to take a center stage in terms of organizing this. The second is scientific symposiums, is with different sponsorship categories. We intend to have gold, platinum, silver, and diamond sponsorships, as happens in other regions, whereby just scientific and research-related articles or maybe issues are highlighted that are relevant to the industry. The third one is, as also the chairman mentioned, we want to borrow a leaf from Tanzania. We have National Poultry Days every year. We are borrowing these from TAFMA and PAT. TAFMA stands for Tanzanian Feed Manufacturers, and PAT is Poultry Association of Tanzania. So this has taken their subsector, poultry subsector, very high, and with the support of the U.S. Grain Council. The U.S. Grain Council, maybe to point out, is also very keen in helping us start this, maybe the first year or two, and then I will be able to do that later on our own. Branding and promotion items. Okay, we are managed to design new banners and wraps. We're doing that. Promotional materials. This one will be able to have them for sale soon, so that whenever we are attending forums, we're able to dot, a sweater or a cape or a shirt that has the AKEFEMA logo on it. Website development, that's our website, www.akefema.co.ke. Still undergoing continuous improvement, but we're urging all of us to be visiting the site regularly as we update data, and it's also update data to the Secretariat. The one has been mentioned by the Technical Committee. AKEFEMA News, AKEFEMA News magazine is being revived, and a subcommittee is already working on it. Very soon we'll be requesting for your adverts and articles. This is in conjunction with Technical Committee. So we'll be writing letters for that, to request for articles and also your adverts. Definition of information. Industry information and the association activities are promptly shared to the paid up members WhatsApp group. I think you can attest to this, where members also encouraged to share industry-related issues. This is the official forum of the association, whereby any activity or any intention is actually shared to members. Partners, some of them have been mentioned by our chairman, include South African Grain Council, the U.S. Grain Council, who are actually very keen in seeing AKEFEMA be near at par with the best in the region. Kenya Dairy Board, KEPSA, as I've been told, Tegemeo Institute, that's a research institution, and then the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for listening.
Mine will be very brief, given the fact that the auditor is going to come and present shortly hereafter. It's basically just to take you through what we did in 2019 as the audit committee. Our members are myself and Christine Nyambura and Joseph Wambugo of Sirare. But we're also joined by the treasurer who attends our meetings. So basically what we did in 2019 was really just go through the internal controls of the organization. Granted, the core role of an audit committee is really to provide oversight over the association's governance. So just to make sure that whatever it is that, the policies and procedures and internal controls that have been put in place by the National NEC are being followed, just so that we can safeguard we can ensure that the assets and the members' contributions are actually being used in a prudent manner or in accordance with what the members have agreed. So basically what we did in 2019 was to look at the audited accounts. We went through the process with the auditor just to make sure that the accounts are what is referred to in auditor jargon as true and fair, which is essentially to make sure that whatever the accounts whatever is presented to the members is actually accurate. So we went through the process with the auditor. He took us through what he did to satisfy himself that you know the accounts as prepared by management are actually correct, and the income and the expenditure as presented in the accounts is actually accurate. So there maybe perhaps one of the key things we were looking at in 2019 is a core question of what is the income of the members. And one of the things that I think the Secretary General alluded to earlier is the whole question of what constitutes the income. If someone has not paid come the end of the year, what is the likelihood that that person is actually going to pay? So is it prudent for us as an association to be recognizing income for members at the end of the year in the event they have not paid their membership fees, or perhaps they have paid part of the fees, and given the fact that this is not an association where you can actually coerce someone to actually make good their contribution. So we need to develop in 2020 a policy around revenue recognition so that we make sure that whatever it is that we are stating in the accounts as funds we have received from our members is actually accurate. And the key thing is, say for example, if there's someone who has not paid up as of December of 2019, the likelihood that they are going to pay in 2020 membership fees of 2019, in our view, it is very unlikely. So we say that perhaps it is good that we be prudent in as far as recognizing of the income of the association is concerned. The other thing we noted is the whole question of financial policy manual, to ensure that we have a manual in place so that it is not left to the discretion of Dr. Mbogwa and Paul, just to do, so that they do things in a structured manner, so that everybody is comfortable that whatever it is that they have contributed to the association is actually being used for the purposes that it has been set out for. The other one was really just to make sure that the financial records that we are keeping, we make sure that they are up to date and they are kept in a manner that one can actually be able to audit, so that in the event that the two gentlemen who are seated here are not there tomorrow, someone can actually be able to come and see what constituted the financial spend. So what it is that we're looking for 2020 activities is what I have alluded to earlier, which is really to enhance our internal controls environment, and then of course enhance the quality of the records that we are keeping. For example, one of the things we noted is say the members registry. Can we have a clean and proper members registry so we don't have an issue of members who may have been there in the past being maintained in the registry? Or perhaps can we come up with policies to make sure that if, say, for example, a membership have lapsed, how do we treat those ones, and what documentation do we put in place to make sure that at any one point the membership records, the members register is clean. And of course, it is to review the 2020 financial statements and to make sure that it is done so in a timely manner, so that by the time you are having the 2020 AGM, we will have a set of accounts that we can attest to their accuracy, or what they refer to as their true and fair. I think most of the issues regarding, or perhaps the presentation of the financial statements will be done by the auditor. I believe he has an audit report that we went through. There are some comments that were sent through to the NEC members, and what we'll be looking to do in 2020 is to ensure that all those comments that are highlighted are actually implemented. Thank you.
I think most of the issues I could have talked about have been highlighted by Sakinyaju. Our committee now is able to ensure that financial reports and statements are well kept and in accordance with the association's programs. We, in the meantime, observe that due to the membership being able to appreciate what the NEC is doing, there has been a lot of members coming in, and last year we were able to have an increment in subscription fees, and that is an increment of 67%. So we can see some growth in the financial position of the association through membership. The other thing we have been able to do is to ensure that there is consistency of financial plans and budgets, and in accordance with the policies that have been set out by the General Assembly and the NEC. Also, we are able to ensure that the expenditure for the year is within the budget that has been set during the general meeting. We are also able to follow up on the issues of treasury management and organizational procedures to be adhered to by the Secretariat, so that the Secretariat cannot actually do their things. They are doing things that have been laid down in accordance with the regulations that are there, and also in collaboration with the Treasurer. We are also able to ensure that there is adherence of prudent procurement practices in compliance with annual procedures and plans and policies for the association. The other issue we have been able to monitor is smooth administrative procedures for the association, and in the meantime we are in the process of developing an internal controls that will be guiding the Secretariat or the staff to be able to follow. Again, we are also in consultation with a consultant. We will be developing a strategic human resource policy for the organization. We should be able to consult a consultant so that we can input things that will be able to move this association to the next level in terms of financial prudence. The other thing to do with budgets for the year, we were able, in collaboration with the Treasurer, able to develop the budget for this year, and we were able to ensure that it is within the capacity that we will be able to handle as an association. I think with those few remarks, I think most of the issues that will be raised will be coming from the auditor and also from the Treasurer. Thank you.
I'm the auditor with Easterbrook Martin. We are auditors. So, want to thank the management, want to thank the audit committee. We also want to thank you members for appointing us and giving us a job. And I hope everyone has a set of financial audit report and financial statement for the year ended December 2019. Okay, let me first introduce ourselves of who we are. Our name is Easterbrook Martin and Company. We are a growing audit firm. Note 2 is about revenue. Your revenue is about you get your revenue from subscription, registration, and other incomes. Due to media publicity, and also there is also expenditure for that, you grew by 23 members in 2019, and we can see the increase of income as finance committee has told us. You have expenditure. You can see the total expenditure down there. The main expense to highlight was just the media, marketing and publicity cost, which has increased. Then the other expenditure to note was bad debts written off in 2018, which in 2019 we did not write to any debt. Your liquidity is very good. You have cash. Then those are the two statements. That's statement of financial income and statement of financial position, which is what we audited. Those are your assets and those are your expenditure and income. Now I will read our opinion. As required by the Kenya Societies Act, we report to you based on our audit that, in our opinion, the information given in the report of the Management Council on page 2 is consistent with financial statement, which we have obtained all the information and explanation which to the best of our knowledge I believe were necessary for the purpose of our audit. In our opinion, proper books of accounts have been kept by the association so far as appears from our examination of these books, and the association statement of financial statement and statement of profit and loss and other income are in agreement with the books of account. Basis of our opinion, we conducted our audit in accordance with the International Standard on Auditing, ISS. Our responsibility under those standards are further described in auditor's responsibility for audit of the financial statement section of our report. We are independent of the association in accordance with the International Ethics Standard and Board of Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, together with the ethical responsibilities in accordance with this requirement that are relevant to our audit of the financial statement and IBC code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide basis of our opinion. So we can mention these figures are true, fair, and verifiable. The report is clean.
I would like to say thank you for everybody. We've discussed a lot, and we just want to put everything now into practice. So thank you so much, and I don't know who is next. We are so grateful for everybody from the technical team, everybody who stood up here. Thank you so much for directing us.